Hey folks, MasakoX here. We are heading towards the conclusion of this, one of the original what if stories to have graced this channel. Our turned good trope is healthy here, and the story of Nappa redeeming himself is one of the calmer iterations of this formula, in that he has a garden now. Not only that, but he managed to break away from Vegeta and prove to everyone that he indeed is a very useful fighter in his own right, as well as a great mentor for the likes of Goten, to bring him up a little bit in terms of relevance, confidence, and importance. He really needed it. In any case, when Goku saved Nappa from the brink of obscurity and certain destruction, Nappa was able to find many ways in keeping himself in the ring, despite his greater age than most of the characters within this series, and formed many friendships along the way. But now, it is starting to get quite clear that not everything will keep coming up roses for him, even if he plants those roses himself. In the last part, we concluded the story of the Broly saga, with Nappa doing his very best in order to use his ultimate berserker form in earnest to try and stop Broly from doing anything rash. Goku, though, was able to come in and help the old man out, him having done the duty of trying to calm the Hulk down with as many sunset platitudes as possible. But it still wouldn't work, and Frieza, he was just as much of a stinker here as he was in the original story, pushing the giant Saiyan into going Super Saiyan, the even gianter one, and then in turn going green on everyone, pinning Nappa for the blame of Paragus' death this time instead of Goku. One plus side though was that King Cold was around, and he was much more willing to give the Dragon Team the time of day, and the Dragon Balls, him having deemed his son's wish to be taller quite frivolous. Cold was weird in that way. Goten and the like didn't really know where they were with him, but hey, it meant that they could get Broly out of harm's way though when the time arose, and Nappa could take a much deserved break. And this break was quite extensive, as we get to see the young Pan training with Nappa and Kafei, Nappa's partner by the way, idly enjoying spending time with their effective granddaughter, them never having had children. So what happened in the meantime? Well, let's resume. We start out this endgame of the story in age 783. Even though there were some more recent events going on which take place in the manga, but we won't cover them here all that much since they're yet to be adapted into the anime, Nappa had very much chosen to take a back seat for those adventures, him not really participating. Goku had asked if he wanted to come with him and the Heaters, but he wasn't all that bothered about that kind of stuff. Nah, don't worry, you're going ahead and have a good time. Goku found this very weird though, as Nappa, despite his calmness, wouldn't have been so dismissive of this invite, but there was a reason for this. His age was finally starting to get to him. You see, Saiyans age very suddenly and drastically diminish in terms of power once they reach their 80s. Things start to happen though after 70, which reduce their effectiveness somewhat in battle. But since most of them died in battle, not many Saiyans made it to that point in their biological journey anyway, so they wouldn't really experience it. For Nappa though, he had reached this barrier and blurred the line so much thanks to his fusion with his future self that it was sort of making things a little strange for him. It had bought him some time where he could keep up with the young ones for a little bit longer, but he knew that this was temporary. He was way over 70 at this point, and for a Saiyan, this was undoubtedly a lot more than what people could have expected, even with those fusion shenanigans. He had cheated Mother Nature, and now she was coming back to tell him off. So instead of getting stuck in with the main events of the story, Nappa chose to be useful in another way. While Goku and Gohan were helping Broly with his rather intense training over at Beerus' place, Nappa and Kafei were busy taking care of Pan, to which the youngling was very happy to be a part of. It was a nice alternative for her, rather than having regular, long, and sometimes boring training sessions with Kakarot, Gohan, or even Goten, who at this point, well, he became a rather busy young man. Him having discovered cell phones, and yeah, Nappa would regularly chastise him for pretending to be a player, or a jock, or using his phone too much, so don't worry, no GT Goten here. Nappa may not be much of a martial arts trainer, but he could certainly at least help in the art of the school of hard knocks for the young lad. And it also came in clutch another way. Finally, after years and years of being shy about it, dancing around the subject, being coy, Goten had finally asked Bulla out. And she said yes. He and Bulla were a couple, which was approved by all concerned parties, that being Bulma and Yamcha, and Goku and Chi-Chi. In fact, they were stunned that it hadn't happened sooner, actually. It was kind of like the worst kept secret. Everyone was wanting to know when it would actually happen. So Nappa was fully aware also that, with the relationship still being kind of fresh, he would rather not have training take up all of Goten's free time. After all, he likes spending idle time with Kafei anyway, so stands to reason he could relate. Also, young ones tend to get up to more mischief, as it were. And even if Goten did want to spar with him, Nappa knew that in terms of youthful gusto, he could outclass him now. Nappa was still stronger though when it came to brute strength, but his younger opponents could now simply wait it out and win out a classic battle. Providing they didn't make any stupid mistakes though, which could allow Nappa to get the upper hand again and clean up house. That's why it was so refreshing for him to take a step back from all of this and go back to basics, show the ropes for Pan, without any risks of overexerting himself or getting decked. She was pretty good though, which made it all the more satisfying.
That's right. Keep it coming. You're doing great, sweetheart.
I want to fly, Uncle Nappa. Everyone keeps telling me I flew as a baby. Well, I've forgotten. Why, Uncle Nappa?
Oh, I know. But don't worry. It'll come back to you when you least expect it. For now, those little ki blasts are pretty impressive. I'm sure your dad couldn't do those when he was your age.
Really?
But before Pan could pump him any further, Kafei walked out carrying a massive tray of food for the three of them.
Breakfast, you two,
she said, placing the tray on a nearby table. And once you're done, we gotta take you to kindergarten, alright?
Thanks, Auntie.
Kafei looked at Nappa, awaiting reaction. Can you take her today, Nappa?
I would, but I'm waiting for a buyer for one of my paintings.
Nappa scratched his bald head and then lit up.
Oh, it was today? Yeah, no problem.
Maybe you shouldn't be flying her there, though. The other kids are getting a little too excited before class. The teachers have been complaining to the principal about it.
Ah, nonsense. Besides, they want to fly, they can always join Videl's dojo. Learn it for themselves.
Kafei turned around and gave Nappa a very stern look.
Aren't you at all worried that it'll bring more attention toward you? You've been trying lately to avoid attention.
Nappa laughed and embraced her.
And whose attention would that be, huh? There's no one on Earth that could possibly pose a danger to this adorable little sprog.
Kafei rolled her eyes.
I meant you, dummy.
Oh, come on. There aren't any goat people or bounty hunters around here. Everything will be fine. Trust me.
Kafei smirked a little bit, and after breakfast, she helped Pan get changed into a uniform, checked whether she had everything she needed in a backpack, and as the time got closer, Nappa seated the little girl safely on his shoulder and flew her off towards school, trying to go at maybe a reasonable speed. But hey, the little girl asked him to go faster, so who was he to deny her that, eh? He was completely unaware, though, that at this time, he was being watched by a wasp-like robot. It was so small, though, that not even Pan's young, keen eyes could sense it. As Nappa left Pan with her teacher Janet, much to the excitement of the kids around the kindergarten, he quickly headed off and chose to have a quick flight around the outside of Hercule City to gather some flowers for Kafei, ready to congratulate her for securing yet another sale for her artwork. She'd been getting quite a few of those lately. In regards to his safety though, she was worrying too much, he thought. Good old Kafei worrying. Still though, she turned out to have a fair point in terms of worry, because when he was busy gathering those flowers, he got suddenly and unexpectedly attacked by a stray ki blast. Nappa though was able to sense it just in time and block it, but the power behind it was more powerful than he would have liked. It was also kinda painful, especially since he did not manage to sense the attacker himself, where the ki came from, just the ki. Nappa stood up and looked around, trying to get a read on whoever threw that pesky blast, but then a voice did that for him.
Halt! Think you could just hang out here and live up your days in safety after what you've done, evildoer?
Nappa raised his eyebrow and spotted his attacker. Above him, there was a grey humanoid dressed in a cape and a yellowish-brown uniform. But there was something familiar about him though, namely the Red Ribbon Army logo on his shoulder. What the?
Big words from a toy soldier straight out of Jiro's toy box. I thought you were all wiped out.
Jiro, that's a good one. Hey, did you find that funny, bro? Get to the point, too. We're not here to talk. Nappa looked at the nearly identical humanoid next to him.
Ah, great. So there are two of them. Splendid. Well, you'll have to forgive me, but I'm gathering flowers for the missus, and,
The two androids rushed toward Nappa, unmoved by the flowers. You have no idea who you are dealing with, ruffian. I am Gamma 2, while the less handsome one over here is my brother Gamma 1. And today, we're gonna kick your villainous ass back to where you came from. Nappa blinked twice.
Another misguided being, I see. Listen, why don't we just talk about this over some...
Gamma 2 surprised Nappa with a very powerful hit. So much for the tea.
Well, if you insist.
The older Saiyan powered up and began to respond. The two of them, fighting together, were most impressive. Honestly, much more impressive than Nappa hoped for. This started to feel very much like when he was starting to fight Broly back in the day. Hopefully it wouldn't lead to the same outcome though, where one of them went green and mad and all. Also, they weren't at the strength of level of 19 or even Jiro himself, no. These guys were newer and much stronger. Initially, he was doing fairly well against the pair of them, though those ridiculous holographic explosions of theirs were making things harder and annoying for him. They were quite the distraction, but then he started to weaken all of a sudden, his old body starting to fail him. This was why he didn't get involved in the mainline battles anymore. Those two mechanical jerks had to push him, didn't they? They can not only win right now, he thought, but also possibly, if he wasn't careful, kill him. Sure, as a Saiyan, he wanted to go down in battle, but not like this. Not to two robots with a superiority complex and weird quirks. And as instant transmission is not known in this reality, Nappa had to get creative here in order to escape. He decided to emit a massive volcano explosion around himself, which sadly blew up the entire meadow, burning the flowers with it, but yet it managed to overload the photoreceptors of both of the Gammas, leaving only a smoking crater behind. No Nappa. Is he dead? Gamma 1 tilted his head. 2 seemed convinced about that. Indeed, a warrior to the end. He hoped to take us down with him. Well, the old man went out with a bang. Let's go hunt the other villains next one. But in truth, Nappa wasn't gone. He used the explosion to propel himself high up into the air, far away from the Gammas. Nappa cursed under his breath about this. He hated having to retreat like this, but in this case, he had to, just so he could make sure that he could go and warn the others. And who better to start with than the Guardian of Earth himself, Kami. And as Kami was practicing some image training, he was very surprised to see Nappa not only turn up unannounced, but also looking quite haggard, like he had been in a very rough battle or something.
Kami, we got a problem. New androids showed up.
Slow down, my friend. Are you sure? Are these the same scoundrels as before?
Positive. They look like Red Ribbon Army equipment. They also think they're some sort of heroes or something. Like we're the bad guys. We gotta warn the others, fast.
That's worrying. The Red Ribbon Army was an issue that I hoped would never resurface.
Yeah, I heard that there used to be some guys before Jiro that went all sell on us.
Could you communicate with Bulma, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm calling her now.
Nappa got out his phone. All Dragon team members carrying a Nokia 3330. A necessity.
Hey, Bulma, did you call Whis real quick? We got a android infestation.
Unsurprisingly, they weren't able to reach Whis. Again.
What good is this line if it never works?
With Goku and Gohan away and unable to be reached, Nappa had to come up with yet another plan. Those two had some sort of misguided sense of justice going on here. They might be hunting other Saiyans, or getting into other sorts of problems.
Kami, if Kakarot and Gohan can't help us, we're gonna have to gather the old gang. 17, 18, Krillin, Goten, and Bulla. How about you? You wanna get in on this? Or are you feeling a little rusty?
Kami pondered for a while. Not yet, but I'm not nearly close to your level though.
Too bad we don't have a quick way to call a favor from the old Kai and unlock your potential. That's it! Wait, what are you doing? Why are you pouring water on...
It's a ritual, don't worry about it. As Shenron appeared, he welcomed Nappa and Kami.
What is your bidding, Kami?
Shenron, my friend, you know how much I hate to resort to wishing things for myself, but could you unlock my potential? The dragon laughed.
Ho I thought you would never ask.
And as Kami felt power coursing through his veins, the transformation lightened up his skin and removed the lines from his arms. He also felt something appear on his skin, on his back for a moment before disappearing. That was a curious feeling. What was that?
Oh, just a little extra something.
Nappa grinned, seeing his friend getting accustomed to the new power. Though Kami did wish for youth many years ago, in terms of his maturity, he was the closest that Nappa had amongst his friends.
Ha! Seems like the old god are running things today.
When Shenron vanished, they could see the androids Krillin, Yamcha, Goten, and Bulla arriving ready to help.
What's the matter, Uncle Nappa? Bulma said it was urgent.
All right, you whippersnappers. Who's ready to bust up some androids like the good old days?
They were, clearly. But that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now, though. If you like the story where a Saiyan turned good, spend some time with Broly's, the OG one's journey to redemption. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!